Good morning. We are a bit early today to make up for being late last week, or really just to make sure the technology was working and we weren't late this week. But hello, if you are watching us live and you are joining us today to draw our Arctic fox. Oh, we've got people joining us. We've got hi Claire, Danen, Jill, Emily, Freya. If I miss people, because I think we've got more people coming today than we've ever had before, if I do miss you, I apologise. Hello to everyone. I'm going to try and say as many highs as I can. Steph, Susie, Lunafy Arts, hello. So yeah, nice relaxed draw along today. We're still in the Arctic. So last week we were looking at the polar bear. This week we are drawing this gorgeous Arctic fox, which is your favourite, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah.
So I think actually of the four that we're doing this term, this might be my favourite too. And I think a lot of people are looking forward to drawing this guy. Hello Rosie, hello Molly. Thanks for joining us. Loads of new people again. Where have you come from? Where have you been? So if you are new to us, we do this every Monday during our term times. We've been running these for over a year now, and they will always be free, so that we're never going to ask you to pay anything for them. We're giving them free to the community because we all love drawing, and we love drawing animals, so we're going to keep doing it. Hi to Alex, hi Kirsty, Tyrone, I think I missed people, hi Molly, Fred, hello Science Alliance. Ooh, what's this? I know as well, big shout out to Lara from Theatre of Science, because she tagged us in a post yesterday, and I think that might be where some of you come from, so that's awesome. If you haven't already been familiar with Lara, then do go over and check out her Facebook page as well. She's got an amazing website that she's built with loads of free science resources as well. Hi Eden. Right, I'm going to start by sharing a couple of Arctic fox facts before we start drawing. So as well as drawing, we're going to share some information and learn more about the animal as well. So it's like a project-based learning, really. Clara said, should there be sound? We can't hear anything. Oh no, is that the case? Can people not hear us? Can someone confirm if you can hear us? That's why we're called Science Alliance. Oh, okay. I'm assuming sound is working. It might just be a problem with one individual, Claire. There's no point me saying that if you can't hear me. But sound is on. Okay. Awesome. So, to begin with, first fact of the day, there are 8 recognised subspecies of the Arctic fox. The Arctic fox numbers are believed to be at least several 100,000 in the wild, which is stable and of least concern at present. So they're not rare, they're not endangered, that's always a bonus. There are things that will affect their numbers, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but they are not endangered, they're doing quite well. Now, their populations fluctuate in response to lemming numbers. So lemming are like a little rodent creature, and they make up a big part of the Arctic fox's diet. So as they are their main food source when they're in inland areas, consequently, most of their populations fluctuate between years in response to lemming numbers going up and down. So if there's less lemmings, there's less food for the Arctic fox, so then they find it a bit more of a struggle to survive. So Arctic fox numbers will fluctuate in response to how many lemmings there are for them to eat. Right, should we start drawing? It looks like loads of people are joining us, so let's get to it. I'm just using a standard HB pencil, nothing fancy here. And I've got watercolour paper. You don't have to have the same as me. You can draw in whatever medium you like, because there is no right or wrong answer with artwork. It's your response and your interpretation. And the most important thing, like I say every time, is that we have fun and enjoy doing it. I'm going to show you the colours I've picked out that I'm going to be using today as well. Always a black. I've got a dark brown for the eyes, and I've got some lighter browns as well, because when you look at the fur, especially around the tail, we can see some brown tones. I've got a grey, and I've also added a blue. Now, there isn't really any blue tones on the picture, but I think I might use some blue in the snow if we get time for that, just to make the picture more colourful and bright, because we can use our imagination that way and make it our own picture. We don't have to create an exact copy of the photo. So I'm going to start off like I always do, just by sketching a rough outline to make sure I've got enough space on my page and I get the proportions right. I will try and monitor the comments as well. Oh, there's so many of you guys today, it's awesome. So what foxes are my favourite too? Yeah, we're a big fan of foxes in this household, aren't we? So I'm going to start off by drawing really rough sketchy shapes, so it won't look anything like a fox to begin with. This is just so that I can make sure that I've got the proportions right and then I'm not going to cut off his towel or something because I haven't put it in the right place on the page. So this is really rough and sketchy. It won't look like much at all to begin with, just lots of scribbles. But however you want to approach your work is entirely up to you. There's, like I say, this isn't a you must do it this way and you must follow these rules. I don't like rules. This is more about draw along with me. You can follow what I'm doing if you think it might help you. But if you've got your own way of working, then that's absolutely fine. And as we draw, I'll every now and then take a little break because my hand seize up sometimes. I get achy hands. And then I'll share some more facts with you. So Lunafire's put, can we see the picture? So I can't show you the picture and draw on the page. There's not going to be enough room. So if you need the picture, if you go into the discussion tab of the event, you can get the picture from there. So you can either look at it from another device or print it out maybe. I always like to work from a device because it allows me to enlarge and I can see details a bit more clearly. My printer isn't that snazzy to be able to print it off really accurately. So I've got a rough sketch. I'm not quite happy with it at the moment because I think I've gone a bit wonky. So I might have to just move the page around. And I think I haven't put the head in quite the right place. I'm just going to adjust it. He's got a really fluffy fur coat, and I'll talk about that again in a bit as well. And really gorgeous triangular shaped ears. Quite a prominent feature, isn't it? That's a little bit better. I'm a bit happy with that. So it doesn't look like much at all at the moment, but it's a good starting point. Molly's put, can I copy from your drawing because I don't have a printer in my phone at no charge? Absolutely you can. Yep, you can just follow along with what I'm doing if it makes sense to you and then draw that way. It's a good way of getting around that problem. So when I'm quite happy with the rough shape, what I'll do is go and rub out some of these lines because it just confuses my brain seeing too many lines on my page. And what I want to do now is get the features of the face because I think that's the most important part of this illustration. That and his tail. I want to make sure that they are really good. So the first thing I'm going to do is sort of plot out where I think the eyes go because again that's a really important feature to get right. If you're drawing in a realism style, the eyes are what sort of shows the life, I think. Makes something look more real if you get that right. So I'm just going in with the first eye. And he's not quite looking at us face on, so he won't be entirely symmetrical. The shapes will look slightly different. And working down into his muzzle. He's got a really tiny, cute nose. And actually, we can see the details on the nose quite clearly. Sometimes with photography, especially with black, you can't see all of it. It just looks like a black blob. But you can actually see his nostrils, so we're going to get those in as well. I think I've gone off to the side a bit, so I'm going to move where I've put his nose. Make sure I'm happy with the position before I put the details in. There we go. How you doing, Michael? Good. So Michael is home ed and he joins us every week as well. Sometimes he helps me out with the facts if I get to. He always finishes before me, you see. Much quicker artist than me. Oop. That's the nose in, and then we've got his little muzzle as well. We can see his top lip and his bottom lip. I'm assuming he, don't know why. I assumed the polar bear was a she last week because she had her babies with her. And generally speaking, it's not the male polar bears that bring up the babies. But this week I've gendered our fox as a he. I have to give him a name as we draw him. Fred the fox. That doesn't sound very Arctic-like, does it? Oh, thank you, Jo. Jo's just shared the link to our reference image if you're struggling to find it. A lot of what we're drawing today is going to be focused on creating this gorgeous fur coat and showing texture and the length in his fur. But it varies all the way around body. So you know, around the ears, he's got very short fur. He's got sort of medium fur around his face, and his tail's got really, really long fur. And they do use their tails as a way of keeping themselves warm. I think I've made the eyes a little bit too big, so I'm just going to make them a bit smaller. And I'm sketching in roughly some of these markings as well, because he's not pure white. As we look at him, we can see that there's other markings going on. He's got some grey and black in there as well. Looks a bit wolfy really with some of his markings, doesn't it? Mm. So now I'm going to go in and do some of the fur texture as an outline to work from. So I'm just sketching really roughly. How do we make the face look white, not grey? That's from Emily and Freya. So hopefully I'll be able to explain that when I start adding tone, but I'll just use grey, but I won't colour it in. I'll use grey to create fur line strokes. So I won't be shading in grey, not completely anyway. But I'm way off that yet. I'm not there yet. Really want to make him look really fluffy, because he is. So I'm just sketching in. He's even got a little grey stripe going down his back. So yeah, not pure white at all, lots of colour and shade in there. And then the fur on his tail is much longer and shaggier, so my pencil strokes will show that. They're longer strokes to look like shaggier fur. Around the bottom of his legs it goes much shorter, so you won't see as much texture, but you can see a bit more of the structure of his bones and stuff, so we'll add that in as well. Hi Sam, Julie says I love your drawing. Thank you, very kind of you. I love all your drawings. I love watching. So if you're new and you weren't already aware, not only do we have the draw along as a free event, but later this evening there'll be a post that goes up on our main page. So if you haven't liked and followed our page already, make sure you do that so you don't miss that notification. And we post a picture of my finished drawing, and you're invited to post in the comments your finished drawing, and I will give you some written feedback. So I used to teach in schools, but now I just work with home ed learners. So I'm a qualified DT and art teacher, and I can give you some written feedback telling you what you've done amazingly and what you could do to improve and to develop your skills on. So you don't have to, but if you want to share your work, you just post under the photo of my finished picture, and that post will go up at around 6 p.m. tonight, and you just need to post before 9 p.m. That's when I clock off. So sometimes I've suggested in the past that if you're worried you're going to forget, just set an alarm on your phone or something so that you know to check the Facebook page and to upload your work. So we can't really see much of his paws because they're buried in the snow, so that's actually a really bonus of this photo, because sometimes hands and paws and feet can be quite tricky to draw, so we can just have them buried in the snow and miss that bit out. It's quite handy, isn't it? So that's my sketch first of all. And now I actually think his head's too big on my picture. I don't know if I've got time to fix it or not. Because when you look at the image, he's got quite a small, cute face, and I think I've made it, the proportions aren't quite right, but it's not the end of the world. He's still recognisable as a fox. I think what I've probably done as well, the eyes are too high up on the head, they probably need to be a little bit lower down. So it's good, you know, whatever your ability is, however long you've been drawing, it's good to constantly evaluate your artwork like I'm doing now. I can see ways that it could be improved. You can never complete art. You can never finish it. There's never a day when you go, I've completed art now. So even me, with my far too many years, I am constantly critiquing my work and trying to find ways that I can improve it. So, Joseph is sleepy this morning, but we were watching and we're joining soon. Do you know what? We were a bit sleepy this morning, weren't we? We struggled to get started, so we can appreciate it. I think it's this cold weather. It's not helping. We just want to go into hibernation. Thank you so much for joining Arctic Fox. They're our favourite, along with pandas and red pandas. Oh, red pandas is coming next term. I think it's time for another fact. So, I said about these fur. Arctic foxes are well adapted to living in icy cold environments such as the Arctic. They also have short noses, ears and legs. This combination gives the Arctic fox a very compact body that helps them to stay warm, because if they had a wider surface area, there's more space for them, for their heat to escape from their bodies. So they take full advantage of this while sleeping, curling into a small ball. They curl themselves up like a cat and tuck in their noses and feet underneath the thickest parts of their fur. So they use their tail to, like a blanket really, to help them keep themselves warm.
I can't do the nose.
You're struggling with the nose? See, I think I've drawn mine a little bit wolfy. Like, I'm tempted to change the eyes. He looks a bit wolfy to me rather than fox, but I don't think I'm going to have time, so I think I'm just going to have to roll with it. Or should I? No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. And this is the point where I try and redraw the eyes and never get them as good again. Right. I think they should be about here. That's better. Yeah, I definitely did them too big and I did them too high up.
I'm going to redo the face.
You do it as well?
No, literally like rub it up.
Oh, really? That's better. Sometimes you have to take a chance. That looks better to me, although his eyes look a bit... Change it again. There we go. Alright, so I'm ready to start using my colours to add in more texture, tone and colour. Just about, just get rid of some of those messy lines again. So this is the fun bit. So I've never drawn an Arctic fox, so I can't go on past experiences. I'm learning along with you guys. I always start with the eyes because I think that's should be the focus of the picture. I think it's important to spend enough time on that, making sure you get them right. So he's got a black pupil and then a dark brown iris, and then he's got black, what do we want to call him? It almost looks like he's got black eyeliner on, going above and around his eyes before you get to the brown tone. So I'm using lots of black and brown around the eyes. Now you can't see much of a highlight in the fox's eyes, but if you leave a white area on the eye somewhere, on both of them, it's going to bring life to the picture and make it look more realistic. So I'm going to add one in. Mine's actually starting to look good. Good, I'm glad, Susie. I can't do the nose, so Denise's struggling with the nose as well. See, it's a tricky feature today. Julie's put, no, it looks like a fox. Foxes are like wolves. They are, aren't they? I suppose they're very similar looking. Right, let's go with the black pupil first of all. And I'm using a nice sharp pencil so I've got good control and I can leave a nice white highlight. Oh no, pencil broke. It was too sharp. And then I'm going to go with the brown around that and then back to the black as well. Oh. My pencils are so sharp that the tips are broken off. Abba asks, what's your favourite lesson you've done? In terms of drawing? We've done so many now. One of the first, I think it might have been the actual first drawing we did, was a standard British fox. And because we like foxes, I think that might have been my favourite. That was over a year ago we did that. I think it is up on our YouTube channel though, if you're looking for historic ones. If you look up Technology Triumphs on our YouTube channel, I try and upload them onto there, so it may be sitting there for you. I think it might have disappeared off of Facebook.
I can't do the face.
Keep persisting, Michael, I believe in you. If it helps, work on another part of the body, take a break, and then come back to it if you're getting frustrated. Because I've got the black out, I'm going to carry on with the nose. Remember that the variation in tone, so rather than just colouring in all the same, having the different layers and a different tone, so lighter areas, darker areas, that's going to help your picture look much more realistic. And remember to keep looking back at the picture you're drawing from. Don't rely on your imagination or your memory, because it does trick us. So he's got a highlight across his nose as well, makes it look shiny, so I'm going to keep that in there as well. So highlight our whiter areas. What's your YouTube channel called? It is just Technology Triumphs, I believe. There might be a number after it. But if you look up Technology Triumphs, you'll find our logo. It should be quite easy to find, hopefully. If Joe is still watching, would you be able to provide the link for us? Lunify. Oh, I can't do the eyes. See, there's something tricking us. I can't get words out today. Tripping all of us up today, isn't it? Keep persisting. Or like I said with Michael, if it's frustrating you, move to a different part of the drawing and then come back to it. Sometimes you get a bit bogged down and I don't want you to feel like you've got to give up. That's the worst thing. So as I shade, I'm moving my pencil in the direction that the fur is growing as well, because I'm trying to create the texture. It's not just about getting the colour and the shapes down, it's texture as well. He's got some black markings all over his ear tips, but it's almost spotty, a bit Dalmatian-like, isn't it? Susie, subscribe to your YouTube channel. I wondered that, I just got a notification on the tablet I'm working from. Well done. Okay, another fact. Let's have a look. So the thickness of their fur also increases for the winter season to help maintain a stable core body temperature and also to survive the harsh cold conditions of the Arctic. With the ability to physically adapt to survive winter, Arctic foxes never have to hibernate. They change their fur colour depending on the season. Different seasons can mean different climatic conditions and opportunities for the Arctic fox, so its fur colour can change between the seasons for thermal insulation as well as to help blend with its immediate surroundings. So it just doesn't just have a function to keep them warmer when their coat changes in the winter, it acts as camouflage. So within the spring and summer months when there might not be as much snow and we've got, you know, more browns and greens, then their fur goes dark and browner so that they can blend in and hide from their prey and sneak up on them. That's clever, isn't it? So just like when dogs molt and cats molt, foxes do as well, Arctic foxes do, but it's a much bigger, more dramatic transformation. So they don't just get a shorter coat or a longer coat, the actual colour changes as well. That would be so cool, wouldn't it, if our hair did that? Can you imagine? Colour changing hair. Save me a fortune in hair dye. Do you know if Arctic foxes have any predators? Well, one of the facts I found was that they sometimes follow polar bears, so presumably to scavenge off of their catches. However, I would imagine if a fox was not quick enough, then a polar bear would quite happily nibble on an Arctic fox. But I think, considering their size and their speed and agility, they probably don't have many natural predators. I know that they have been hunted for their fur by humans. Once again, we're good at doing that, aren't we? Unfortunately, but I don't think they generally, I couldn't see any information to suggest that they have other predators. So with the shading, I'm not just block colouring out, I'm just gently putting in some black and greys where I see them.
I've restarted.
You started again? So their summer coat can come in a variety of colours from dark and light grey, charcoal brown to bluish brown coats. All sorts of variations. And a bit like the polar bear, if you joined us last week, you'll remember they have dark coloured skin underneath their fur. They have darker skin pigmentation. The darker skin colour is better at absorbing and retaining heat, which can be an advantage, especially in colder environments. So it has a purpose. There's a reason their skin is dark, it's in order for them to keep warmer again. Right, I will start getting, you'll notice when I'm drawing, I start getting very sketchy with the longer fur. So it doesn't have to be too neat. I've got the main details in, so the fur can be a little bit more rough and ready, because obviously it's grown in all not quite contrasting directions, but there's not an exact science to it. You don't have to be really neat and draw neat straight lines, because that's not what the fur looks like. But I'm also going to bring in some sort of yellowish tones. I can see some yellowish tones in the fur. I'm going to start introducing them as well. I can't do any of it. Yes, you can, Lunify. Don't give up. It will still look, whatever you end up with will still look better than your plain piece of paper that you started with. And don't compare yourselves. I know it's tricky because you're looking at my drawing, for example, but don't compare yourself or your artwork to anybody else's, because it's your own learning journey. I've been drawing for many, many years now. So don't be comparing and just, feeling disheartened because you don't feel yours is as good, because we are all our own worst critics. I look at my artwork and can see all the mistakes I've made in it because I've been staring at it, and I know in my mind what I want it to look like. And you probably are all doing the same as well, that you think, oh well, I've got this image in my head and it's not quite the same as that, but I guarantee you somebody else will be looking at your artwork and saying, wow, that's amazing. You get frustrated, Michael? Why don't you work on the body and then come back to the head if that's causing you a bit of frustration? I'll bring in some grey as well. So I'm not going to try and draw every first round because there aren't enough hours in the day, quite simply. So I'm just drawing a few, and where I can see the biggest shadows and the texture more clearly, I'm making sure that the fur is shown there, but I'm not going to draw every individual fur. I'm going to ache your hand again. I might have to share another couple of facts. So as I said, sometimes they'll follow polar bears. So when they've got a shortage of prey, they'll sometimes follow polar bears on their hunting trip to scavenge on any remaining scraps left by the bear. Obviously a fox does not need as much food as the bear, because they're much, much smaller. I thought this was an interesting fact. A young female Arctic fox made the longest solo journey ever recorded for the species. Thought I had more information on that. Lost me facts. So, in 2018, a young female fox left her den in Norway and travelled more than 3,500 kilometres across sea ice and the vast barren lands of the frozen Arctic to Ellesmere Island in northern Nunavut in Canada. This epic solo journey of thousands of kilometres was made by the young fox in just 76 days, travelling as much as 155 kilometres in a single day, the fastest movement rate ever recorded for this species. So foxes can swim as well, so sometimes they have to swim between polar, but between ice caps. So she must have done to have been able to get from Norway to Canada. But sadly, her fate remains unknown. But the tracking data has helped researchers understand the importance of sea ice in helping Arctic foxes migrate between areas for food and new territory. That's amazing, isn't it? Oh, got some more comments. Drawing the fox was so fun. Oh, nice. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Mine looks like a cross between a sheep and a hyena. I'd love to see it. I've got some more foxy facts coming, but I'm aware that I need to draw faster, so I'll get some more of my colour down and then share some more fox facts as well. I'll make sure I get that greyish blackish stripe down his back. He's got longer shaggier fur on his back legs as well, and then moving into that tail, which has also got a bit of that black stripe that you can just see. Really shaggy long pencil strokes now for his fluffy tail. Putting the black on to begin with, and then I'll add in some colour afterwards. Then input, mine looks all right. I bet it looks better than all right. I bet it looks good. That's a bit strange. You finished, Michael?
Yeah.
You happy?
No.
Did this beat you today? Do you know what I think it is? Because it's one of your favourite animals. It was like when I drew this Czechoslovakian wolf dog, I wasn't happy with that, and I think it's because it was really important to me. You put a bit more pressure on yourself. That's what I reckon anyway. I'm going to get a bit more shadowing in to make him look more realistic and 3D. More on that front leg. My tail body's good, but my face is terrible. Oh. The faces are quite difficult to get right because that's obviously an important feature. So again, don't beat yourself up. I'm sure it looks a lot better than you're giving yourself credit for. Mine is half cartoon, half real. Oh, nice. So you've almost made like a caricature. Yeah, there's no right or wrong. So if you didn't want to draw in a realism style, you don't have to. You don't have to be drawing with pencils. You could be using coloured pens or paints if you want to. Everyone has their own style of working. I used to work mostly in acrylic paints, but now I just prefer watercolour pencils for what I like drawing. So I've got most of the black down, so it looks a bit wonky, doesn't it? I think the camera's at a funny angle. Now I'm going to add in a bit more of the sort of yellowy brown undertones as well. I usually draw cartoon style, but I'm trying realism for this, but it's not looking too good. But if you're used to drawing a certain way, Molly, and you're trying a new way, there's always going to be a starting point, isn't there? So don't give up on it and keep going. See what you can produce. Yours looks so good from Ed. Oh, thank you, Ed. I'm sure yours does too. So I'm not going to colour the whole thing. I'm just seeing key points where I can see flashes of colour, where the colour looks a bit more definite, and then adding those tones in. So like a sandy brown I'm using. It's almost, I think, where the sun's reflecting off, a bit like with the polar bear last week. And we can see some darker tones in the towel. I might add in a darker brown as well there. I think it might emphasise the shaggier fur. Phoenix says your fox is good. Thank you. Oh, you're all so lovely, aren't you? Michael, could you find us a soundbite for an Arctic fox call? But turn your volume down, because last week I think we blasted everybody's ears off. Michael found some sound bites of polar bears last week roaring, and that was quite ferocious when it came through. It was very, very loud. The average litter is 7 to 11 cubs. The largest recorded litter was 22 cubs. Can you imagine having 22 babies all at the same time? My goodness. Don't know if you heard that. Michael's got a call of an Arctic fox. Quite similar, really, to what we hear then from our wildlife. Similar sound, similar call. So now I'm just going in, and this isn't true to the picture, but I'm going in with the black to sort of make darker tones and make features pop out a little bit more. So this isn't, I'm not getting this from the reference picture, I'm using my imagination now to try and make it more bold and to make it make sense to me a bit more as a picture. And we're just going to spend a couple of minutes doing that, and then I'm going to add the water so I can get the watercolour element, because I'm using watercolour pencils. So if you were drawing it on coloured paper, you could use a white pencil to draw an Arctic fox, but as we're drawing on white paper, I'm using a lot of black, bizarrely, to show the fur lines, but not doing so much that it becomes a black fox.
Silver fox.
Is there silver foxes?
Mhm. Oh, that's what they're going to add. They're cute.
So foxes, if you haven't seen this on a wildlife programme, really suggest that you look it up. They snow dive to find their prey, so they listen to the lemmings tunnelling underground. They listen for them, and then they estimate where they're going to be, and they jump up on their back legs and pounce into the snow, so sort of dive head first into the snow. If you haven't seen that, YouTube it or look it up. It's hilarious to watch. Sometimes their back legs are just poking up in the air whilst their heads are down in the ground trying to grab hold of the lemmings. So I'm going to try, and like I said before, add in some blue tones to represent the snow, even though it doesn't look like that on the picture, because it's art and I can do whatever I like. There are no rules. No one can tell me I can't. Well, they can, but I wouldn't listen. And it just adds another nice colour to the picture and makes the picture look nicer, in my mind anyway. And I could do this all the way around, but I think I'm just going to have it at the bottom of the picture to balance it out a bit. Tyron put lemons are not real. I thought they were a myth. No, they are real. They are a real animal.
I hate my drawing.
Oh no, that's a strong word to use.
Terrible.
I like the eyes. The iris of a fox's eye. So I've done it dark brown, but actually that was technically wrong. It's normally a deep golden or yellow or orange yellow colour, which is useful against the glare in the icy environment of the Arctic. They possess hang on, I can never say this right, dichromatic vision, which means they see, dichromatic means two colour. It essentially makes them red-green colourblind, so they can't see the colours red and green, and the result of that is that foxes probably see the world in more pastel shades than vibrant colours. I think that's the same as dogs.
They're meant to be black and white.
No, I think it's just red and green that they can't see.
Search it up.
Yeah, do that. You don't trust me, do you? I see. So I'm using a really thin paintbrush to begin with the really fine details, and I'm hardly putting any water on it.
Blue and yellow.
Oh, is it blue and yellow for
They
dogs?
can see blue and yellow.
They can see blue and yellow.
Human eyes have 3 different types of cones, which allows us to identify combinations of red, blue and green. Dogs, on the other hand, have only 2 types of cones, which means they can only discern blue and yellow. As a result, dogs are red-green colourblind.
Oh, same as foxes, red, green, colourblind, yeah. Right. So I'm still using my reference picture when I'm using the water because I don't want to make it up as I go along and get it wrong. So I'm just checking back. And I don't want to spread the colour out everywhere because otherwise it will look too dark. I want to keep him looking like a white fox.
Dogs, you know how we see purple? They see purple as grey.
Hmm. Which will be the same for the Arctic fox as well,
Yeah.
because they've got the same type of eyes.
They see green as white. Weird.
Hmm. What do you do if you're done? You could add in some background. You could use your imagination to put in something else in the picture, like a little fox cub maybe. That would be cute. You could just hang around and listen to more facts as I share them. Or you can be free. You don't have to stay and hang out with us if you don't want to. But when you are done, we say that you're never fully done until you've signed your artwork. So somewhere on your artwork, you want to sign your name and then date it. I normally just put the year, so 2024. That's what all the good artists do. So it's a good habit to get into. And if you are done and you are leaving us, thank you for joining us. But I'm still going to be here until 12, carrying on. Don't forget, if you want some feedback, to make sure you like and follow our page, and then set yourself a reminder to post after 6 p.m. I will be drawing next week the Emperor Penguin, which actually I'm really looking forward to. That one's going to have a bit more colour in it, and it's going to be a bit more bold. And it's an Emperor Penguin and the baby penguin as well. So we're going to draw two animals together next week. If you are interested in art generally, don't forget that we've got all of our previous draw-alongs available on the YouTube channel, and you can find them if you scroll down to past events on Facebook. But also, you might be interested in some of our courses towards getting qualifications in artistic subjects. And if art and design is something that you're particularly interested in, definitely follow our page, because we've got an exciting announcement coming tomorrow for a brand new course. So it's going to be offered at a discounted rate, 25% cheaper than all the other courses. And these are for GCSE level courses, but there's no minimum age, so you don't have to be GCSE age to do these courses. So yeah, follow the page for updates on that one. Karen's put, I love the Emperor Penguin. Oh, good. So hopefully you'll join us next week for that one. Thanks for joining us this week, though. Molly, what age do you have to be? There is no minimum age. There is no minimum age. So if you are ready for it and you've got the time to dedicate to it, I can give a guidance age. So for certain levels, so a level 1, I give a guidance age of maybe 10 to begin with. But we have had younger people do them as well. So it's really about your ability and the time you want to commit to it. We've got a course for younger people, the entry level. Michael did that last year. We take learners as probably young as 8 to do that one. Because there's no deadlines, it doesn't matter if you need a bit longer to do the work. So that's why we can say it doesn't matter how old you are. Can you do it 13? Yep, that's probably the average age, Molly, to be honest. Our level 1 and 2 courses, I'd say most of the people of our learners are about your age. So Michael's doing a level 1 at the moment. Michael's 11 and he's doing a level 1 at the moment. No, you're doing 2 level 1s, aren't you? You're doing photography and cake decorating this year. So yes. Joe's put new course, exciting. It's always exciting when we launch a new course. How much time I've got left? Just under 10, well, just about 10 minutes. I'll probably just get this done. I don't want to rush the fur too much because I want to keep that texture. So even the brush strokes with the paintbrush are long strokes to keep the texture of the fur. I need to read through my facts again and see which ones I haven't shared with you yet. So I've already said this, but a bit more detail is about how they hunt the lemmings. So they carefully listen for lemmings moving or burrowing underneath the snow to pinpoint their location by tilting their heads. Our dog does this when she's confused. She tilts her head from side to side. Once the prey is located, an Arctic fox can jump several feet in the air and nosedive into the snow to catch its prey. Sometimes it takes more than a few tries, but it's the effort that counts. They have a short lifespan in the wild. The survival rate of an adult Arctic fox can vary depending on the region and the food availability and the number of predators in the area. But usually they live up to 3 to 4 years in the wild. Whereas in captivity they can live up to 14 years. So quite a big difference.
But they're in a zoo though, aren't they?
They're in a zoo and in captive, yeah. My Arctic fox looks like an Arctic cat. Maybe you made a hybrid.
Mine looks like... Who knows?
Can you tell it's an Arctic fox? Yeah, you
No.
can.
No.
Yes, you can. Stop with a negative talk, Michael.
It's like a human.
My Arctic fox is giving me the side eye. I love how much, looking at the polar bears last week, how many different characters you can get. Even though we were all drawing from the same picture, the same reference image. They look, each individual picture, you could see a character in them. Some look really friendly, some look really cute, some looked a bit sassy. It's amazing, isn't it? How even just the position of the eyes can make a difference on how the outcome looks as a finished piece. Yeah, Gemma's put my Arctic fox is half cat, half fox. And again, so to me, they kind of feel like a cross between a cat and a dog. I know they're not, but I think you're on the same line, on the right lines, if it looks halfway in between the two. You can tell when I go in deep concentration mode because I stop talking. Because I'm aware that I might run out of time. Oh, we're okay for time. So, as we know from that Arctic fox that swam 155 kilometres a day, foxes are capable of swimming, but they don't do it very often. They're most likely to take the plunge when they are migrating and need to travel from one section of sea ice to another, or if they need to hide from predators. So obviously, we've said the numbers are quite stable with Arctic foxes, but if climate change continues, then obviously there's going to be less ice for them to be able to use to migrate, so that's going to have an impact on them eventually. So once again, human behaviour is having an impact on wildlife and animal numbers, because it comes down to their habitats being destroyed. Sam's put mine looks at you wherever you are. Oh, well, there's a name for that. There's actually an artistic term for when eyes follow you. The Mona Lisa does it. So that's actually a really good thing if you managed to do that. Well done. Pie, hi from Pie. Thanks for joining us, Pie. So I've got a few more minutes that I didn't think I was going to have. So I'm going to just add in a little bit more pencil marks around the eyes because I'm not too happy with them. I want them to be a bigger feature, so I'm going to make them pop out a little bit more and look a bit more dramatic. But I want to keep the white highlights still. The nice thing with watercolour pencils is even after you've used the water on them, if you're not happy, you can sort of build in more tone and colour once it's dry. If you try and do it when it's wet, it doesn't look so good. So that's why I like watercolour pencils. They're quite diverse and versatile. That's the word I was looking for. Well, I think I might be finished. I do get to the point where I keep working on it and I end up ruining it, so I sometimes have to put the pencils down and rub out some of the pencil lines I don't want there anymore. Just smarten it up a little bit. So, I'm not finished yet because I've got to sign it. And that is my Arctic Fox complete for the day. Got a nice fluffy towel and really fluffy coat, and that's what we wanted to focus on for this illustration. So I'm quite pleased with that. Pi has asked if you can see your illustration. Do you want to share it? You don't have to. Do you want to share it? You normally do. Michael's not very happy with his drawing today. He had to start again, but I think he's instantly recognisable as an Arctic Fox. And actually, your eye colour is more accurate than what I did for mine because yours is more amber yellow. Stop with the negative talk. It's better than the plain piece of paper you started with.
I'm going to put it in the bin.
No, you're not. So, hopefully, you've enjoyed it and don't want to put yours in the bin like Michael's saying he's going to do. He's not going to. I won't let him. It looks great. It's better than mine. Ah. That's from Molly. She's 13.
No.
We're our worst critics. We're our harshest critics of ourselves. So that's the Arctic Fox. We did the polar bear last week. We are moving down south next week. So we've been up in the north in the Arctic region. We're going to the Antarctica next week, and we are going to be studying the emperor penguin at the bottom. And then the final week will be seal pup from the Antarctic as well. So hopefully you can join us. Don't forget to like and follow the page. If you are new to us, feel free to spread the word as well. These sessions will always be free. If you want to help us, if you want to enable us to give more free provisions, please feel free to leave a review or take a look at our other courses, or just share the information with other home editors. Let them know we're here. But it's been lovely. I've enjoyed this. My favourite part of my week. It really is. Every Monday I love sitting down to draw with you guys. So thanks for joining us and making it fun. And we'll have some lovely, interesting facts about the emperor penguin and probably just penguins as a whole as well. There's lots of different species, so loads of information to share with you next week as well. Don't forget to post your picture later this evening. You're waiting for a photo of this drawing, not the photo we worked from. You're looking for this picture around 6 p.m. Post with your illustration and I'll gladly give some feedback. I'm really looking forward to see what we've done today. Have a lovely week and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.